What's up, good people? Y'all, we are about to get into it today. I thought that this would be like a one and done type of thing, but it would not leave me alone, and now I'm stuck with it. So therefore, I am running with it. I'll be right back. So, welcome back to Couch Conversations. We are on a different couch than my couch at home, but it's still a couch. So, we're doing Couch Conversations right now. Today's episode is going to connect so many dots. I think y'all know that Couch Conversations is pretty much the extensive version of Thursday Thoughts, so we go a whole lot deeper on here. So my love month recap is kind of like just summing up Valentine's Day and Valentine's week and the whole month. I threw in a little life update at the end of that, and it was a Thursday Thoughts episode last week, and I kind of wanted to expound on that here in Couch Conversations because I wanted to talk about it, because I feel like all of us, and specifically and especially Christians that watch my channel. So if you did not watch last week's Thursday Thoughts episode, I will basically like transfer that message to over here because it's the extended version. So back in January, I was presented with something that I thought I didn't want in this season of my life and this year. I came into 2024 not wanting it at all, but then I ended up settling for way less than I deserve. And at that time, I did not think that I was settling because I grew to love it and it felt good and it was like a new thing and it was an uncharted water. And, I look back on it now from a bigger picture, and I'm definitely forgiving myself for that. And it was starting to become something that drew me in, and it genuinely felt that way. And it was an experience that I had never had before. Like an experience like ripped me out the plastic brand new. Like, yeah, it was that new. And so while I was in this era, or when I was in that season, I was skeptical at first because y'all already know, coming into 2024, I told y'all, like, this year we're gonna chill, we're gonna relax, I'm gonna do better with self-care, and we're just gonna be fine for real. And then, like I said, I was getting into it, I was getting distracted and just kind of devoted my attention to it. Of course, when you're in different seasons, you hit that good spot, that sweet spot, and it was getting good. And it was good enough for me to tell my friends because, we share our life experiences with each other every single day. And my siblings are always going to be the first people to know anything about me. So this was kind of like mid to end of January, and then we get into February. In February, towards Valentine's week, it turned out to be nothing but immediate red flags. And they were at first kind of blush, and then they turned into bright red, like Bob the Tomato VeggieTales red, like insanity. Like, I couldn't tell y'all nothing because I did not know what I was about to embark upon. I didn't know what was happening. And the week before and during was when it all kind of like heightened. The more dots I connected, the more red flags I kept seeing, because it was a good thing, but not a God thing. And you have to understand that those are two completely different things. And I was just so excited about this over here that I completely did not consult with God if it even came from him in the first place. And that is such a way to get your behind beat, because attaching God's name to blessings he had no approval of in the first place, like, that's exactly what I did. And it's crazy, believe it or not, I had a clear choice from the beginning to just stay out of it or to get in it. And that is the moment I should have went to God and been like, hey, is this in your will? Is this meant for me? What is your perspective? And instead of dipping my feet in the pool first, I just dived right in, because I was floating until I quickly drowned. But not for long, because my discernment kicked in, and that's when everything started just making sense and adding up. I knew this good thing was not a God thing because it fell apart. And God sometimes has to take away what you thought you wanted to show you that he is really all you need. And the more long and drawn out that it was before I made the official decision that, okay, I don't want to deal with this anymore, I knew that it wasn't God at all. Because you tell me, where is this head spinning, stomach churning, heart pounding anxiety coming from? Like, where are second thoughts coming from? Because it's not God. Because God does not have that characteristic of wanting to cause pain or inflict pain and harm on his people, because God is not a man that he should lie, neither the son of man that he should repent. And so, like I said, it's not in his nature to cause those type of feelings, what I was feeling. This experience really taught me to consult with God about it all, whether if it's big or small. Like, I got into 2024 saying I wasn't going to do something because I knew it was the wrong time for that, and I should have went with my first mind the first time. And because the very same thing that I said I was not going to do, I did, and I settled for something way less than I settled for something that was way less than God's best for me, because it looked good, but it was not God. So God saved me to the point where I can't even be mad about it. And I'm not. Like, God literally graced me to not have a victim mentality because of what I did. And I have shed not one tear, because I ain't got time to be mad. I am on track with where I need to be, with myself, with God, with everything and everyone in my life. And I'm like so happy. And I will say that the safest place in the whole wide world is the will of God. Like, the way his mercy follows me and his grace protects me is unexplainable. One of my favorite male gospel artists at that, Marvin Sapp, literally put out the most perfect song for the situation that I was in, and I know many of us can relate. And it's called Listen, and this is another hit besides all of the other hits that he has that's gone viral, especially on TikTok. But the part of the song where he says, "You tried your way, it didn't work. You put him second and put you first. Lord have mercy." That grabbed me. And I was listening to this as I was starting to realize, like, wow, God was never in this in the first place, and that's why it's going this way. There's another part of that song where it says God's trying to tell you something. And I could not deny it at all, because I knew what it was about. And of course, I started talking to my siblings, which are my two best friends. Like I told y'all, they know anything and everything about me before the general population does. And I started talking to them about what was happening. And they, in the nicest way possible, told me to get my act together and start watching out. And we play and we joke all the time, like every day that we're together. And when they say watch out, they mean business. And I know I'm the oldest out of us three, but when it's time to watch out, they're not playing with me, which means, of course, I'm not playing with them. And my sister, she kind of said her piece and left it at that. But my brother was the main one who stayed on me about it, and he was more involved in the journey. Looking back to what I said about having second thoughts and anxiety, my brother was like, "Sis, you know that's not supposed to be happening, right?" And we talked another instance again, and he said, "Don't stress or worry, because you will know what you need to do." And once, I was out of that situation in that season, he told me, he said, "I know you won't do that again, because you didn't need that at all. And you know that." And I was like, dog, he is so right. God was literally talking to me through my brother, and I couldn't even defend myself. And I didn't know why, but God had me to just shut my mouth and listen. And I feel like our roles have reversed, because he is the youngest out of our trio and in our friend group trio, but I felt like he was my big brother in that moment. And that doesn't happen often, because everyone looks up to me most of the time. My siblings and I were sitting together at dinner after awards day at school the week prior to getting my clear answer from God about what I was supposed to do after recognizing that this is not a God thing. That's when my original second thought started kicking in, because it started hitting me like I was jumping into something that I had no business being in. And that moment with the people that mean the most to me was fun, of course, but it was also reflective, because I was able to really be challenged to think about like the future and the present at the same time. And as we're sitting at dinner, I'm thinking, I love this moment. Like, this is where I'm at, and I don't need anything else on top of that. When you sit with the people you have close bonds with in a season of your life where you have to make real decisions, you really think like, do I choose myself or do I choose others? And what is the consequence of both? And looking back at it now, I cannot imagine going any further into what I was in. And I don't want y'all to think that it was anything unholy. Like, it was a good thing. It just wasn't a God thing. I wasn't giving God enough room to be God like that. And there's things that we can all avoid if we just ask God what he requires of us. Having siblings and close friends that have your heart and that have been with you, like they know you and they know that you deserve so much more than what you think you do, are really the friendships that I'm grateful for. And I'm grateful to have them, because those bonds are rare, because everyone these days loves to sugarcoat everything to the point where you don't know what's real and what's clickbait. So the way that God speaks through my siblings is just mind-blowing. Like, I can't even express my gratitude, because it just leaves me in awe. Like, they talked me out of being delusional, and I was about to enter something that would have costed me to be distracted and neglect them in the process. And when I say I will never do that again, because it's never me, it's we. So if I'm coming, we're coming together. Like, that's how we roll around here. My siblings and close friends that knew were watching me settle for something that they knew I didn't talk to God about, like, at all. Because if your close circle is all saying the same thing and nobody is off or saying anything different, like, your hypothesis has just been tested as an experiment, and that's your data. Like, that's reliable data. Keep them close to you, because God mostly helps me understand things through the people that I'm close to. It could be through a conversation or an experience or just something unorthodox that makes me like pay attention. And I had a mix of that during this process. And when you pray for God to help you understand what is for you and he reveals it to you, you better get down on it from the jump, because if you're not going to get free from what God saved you from, don't waste his time trying to get him to get you out of it. Like, stop playing with God, because what do you think this is? Every time I get red flags about somebody or something, I'm always reminded of something that was said in a previous season by a trusted voice, which is either, of course, my siblings, pastors, etc. And this takes me back to Watch Night 2023, when we spent New Year's Eve service with my second set of godparents at their church. And before my goddad got up to preach and bring us in for the new year at midnight, my uncle / big brother, he is both to me at the same time, but he spoke a little bit, and his message was obey God. And now that message is just like, it rings so clearly, like I can't even deny it, because it immediately went over my head the first time. Major intrusive thought that I just had. I feel like Jonah in the Bible, where he did the complete opposite of what God told him to do, but he got a second chance because he told God that he would do what he was supposed to do the first time. Whereas me, on the other hand, I didn't hear anything from God because I didn't even ask God. But God gave me a chance to get out of it because he saw my heart. And Jonah knew he was disobeying God, whereas me, on the other hand, I didn't have a clue. So the weekend after this good season dissolved, I led worship in church, and that was the video y'all saw on Sunday where I led worship a couple weeks ago. And during what I thought was a new season, I had never sung or led worship, which was 6 Sundays straight. God did not let me minister to his people because he knew I would do it for the wrong reason and the wrong intention because of the season I was in. The moment I got back in God's will and I stripped myself and completely disassociated myself from what I had settled for, he then used me to minister. And the way that worship went on that Sunday was completely unexplainable. I mean, I felt like I was in my original element all over again. Like, that was the big confirmation that wrapped it all up. Like, this is where I need to be. This is the life I was meant to live. And when I say God literally would not let me minister at all, he would not give me a mic to hold at all until I got myself together and I submitted myself back to his will. I don't take anything that I went through as bad or negative. I don't have a victim mentality from it. I take it as another way of God resetting me, and I just love where I'm at. And I love the shift from where I was to where I am now. And I love that it was so effortless, like the transition between the two, because I instantly knew not only what God was calling me to, but what he was calling me out of. The thing about it is, if I stayed, I wouldn't have been as happy as I am now, and I still would have been settling and done wrong in the end. I love my life. I love my family. I love my siblings. I love God. And I'm just glad that I wasn't so in my feelings, that I wasn't offended by the correction of my siblings and what God was trying to tell me. So a few takeaways from this experience. Number one, God's way is the best way, period. I will not be in it if God ain't with it. Simple, because the plan that he has for me is far greater than what I can plan for myself. And God wants so much more for me. And to think that I would settle for less than that is nothing but a pure insult to him, because now I'm trying to interfere with his perfect plan, because he will always find a way to get the glory. And he definitely got it out of this one. Another thing gathered, or another takeaway from this, is listen to the people in your life that are God sent. Like, I'm so grateful for my siblings. I will never stop being grateful for them, because they really helped me to realize what was happening far beyond what I could see. And I would listen to my siblings talk, and the car would just be dead silent, because I knew they were right. And I had to accept that they were right. And when I did, and I came to terms with that, I was able to just, when it all started like adding up, I was able to really just do what I was supposed to do. They saw more than I did, and in a way that was not condemning. They told me the truth and gave me such an amazing perspective at everything as a whole, because they love me enough to do that. And they love me enough to see me win and see the best for me. And if they were in that situation as well, I would have done the exact same thing. So in March, I'm feeling happier, a lot lighter, and just grateful. You know, I have a new perspective, and I'm living my best life. I'm prioritizing me, my family, the people that mean the most to me, how it was supposed to originally be for 2024, and just the things that mean the most to me. And it's a really great time for me right now. And had I still been in that season, I don't think I would have been able to share this story with you guys now, because I would still be in it. And God is really good, and he does things that are just far beyond me, honestly. I didn't go full head on into subject matter because it does involve people, and you know, I'm being respectful of that, and I'm just sharing my side of the story and nothing but that. But I still wanted to touch on it, because I think at some point in all of our lives, we do things, or we chase after things that are good things, but not necessarily God things, because, we want to get into things prematurely. But I hope that this encouraged y'all a little bit to just remember to stop and look at things in the bigger picture. Y'all, this Couch Conversations episode was good unto me. We got into it today, and like I said, I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I think this is the best Couch Conversations episode of 2024 so far. Thank y'all for spending a couple minutes of your Friday night with me. I hope y'all have a relaxing and enjoyable weekend, and I will see y'all next week. Bye.